Hey guys, I love it when a new car is born, and here I am at the birth of not one, not two, but in fact, 3 new electric Audis. And in this video, we're going to take a look at all of these, well, 2 new electric Audis. I'm going to tell you how much they cost. We're going to go over what makes them new and different. Then we're going to sit in the car, we're going to check out what Audi has done, what Audi has changed. And then at the end, I'm going to thank Alex, who's behind the camera from Auto Buyer's Guide, for filming me. So thank you, Alex. I did it now, not at the end. Anyway, this is the new Q6 that you're looking at, and there are 3 flavors. We only have 2 flavors here. There's the base Q6, so imagine if there was a car right here, that would be the base Q6, starts at about $64,000 and is rear-wheel drive. Then moving up in price, you get to the Q6 Quattro, which means it's all-wheel drive. And then, of course, over here is the SQ6 Quattro, which means it's more powerful. Now, in terms of horsepower, we start at about just over 300 horsepower in the base Q6 without the Quattro. Once you get on the Quattro, you're just over 450. And then when you get into the SQ6, you're over 500 horsepower. All right, so those are the numbers in terms of power, in terms of pricing. The one that's not there, like I said, about 64, 66, and 73 starting. But this one, which I was just driving, as tested with all the bells and whistles, $77,000. So, what makes these special? I remember I was out here in California. Gosh, this must have been about almost 5 years ago, and I drove the very first Audi e-tron. And back then, it had 400-volt architecture. It got about 250 miles of range, and it did 0 to 60 in about, it was maybe 6 or 7 seconds, and it didn't charge very quickly. The big news here, besides the styling, which we'll go over in a second, is that these now have 800-volt architecture. That's right, just like the Hyundais, just like the Porsche Taycan, and that means a lot quicker charging. In fact, up to 270 kilowatts of charging. The regular rear-wheel drive, 260, but all in all, that's a really good amount of power you can put in these things very quickly. They all have a 100 kilowatt hour battery with about 95 usable, and you may be thinking to yourself, why does the one that's not here charge a little slower? And that's because the chemistry of the battery is different. But all in all, what we have are really 2 very modern electric Audis that not only charge well, but also have good range. As you get up in price and up in power, you lose range, but you're starting at about over 300 on the one that isn't here. This one's just a little bit over 300, and this one's about 275, give or take, because of course you've got 500 miles of 500 horsepower of electric goodness. Now, unlike a lot of modern electric cars, these new Audis actually have a frunk. Yep, check it out. Just like a Tesla, there is room in the front here for your stuff, and it's actually relatively roomy. Look at that. Now, you would think that this would be a cubby hole for maybe the charger, but it's not. You could put probably a good bag of your stinky workout clothes in here, or perhaps some takeout Chinese, whatever you don't want in the car. In my experience, I have found that, unfortunately, as much as I like frunks, I tend to forget that they actually exist. And that was true in our Model Y, our Model 3, and even in our Cybertruck, which were recently sold. So I like showing them off. I find that when I actually own and use the car, I forget that they're actually there. So let's talk about styling. Another big difference in these cars is that they're much taller. Basically, instead of wide, they're tall. Of course, you've got these very modern Audi headlights that do some really cool things. Fortunately, you can't see them right now in the middle of the day. You do, interestingly, have this giant grille with the 4 concentric rings. And that's interesting because I kind of wonder why you even need that giant grille, because this car is electric. Traditionally, this would be where the airflow would go to cool your internal combustion engine. But this car doesn't have a combustion engine, and yet it's got a giant grille. When you get up to the SQ6, that grille becomes a little bit less pronounced, and the pattern changes a little bit more, make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more get out of my way when you see it in the rearview mirror. But all in all, it's an interesting use of a grille that I'm still not sure whether I like or dislike. It's growing on me. At first I was like, the lights are a little too squinty and the nose is a little too big, but now that I've been behind the wheel for a while, I kind of like it. Now let's look at the side profile, and this is where you'll note that the car is in fact very tall, and you can kind of see it in the side profile. I mean, look, if I stand next to the car, I am 6'2", and this car is what, halfway up to my neck? I mean, that's a tall car. And that leads to a very open, very airy feel on the inside. In fact, if you're a little bit shorter, you could probably wear a cowboy hat if you were so disposed. And then in the back, it's a little anonymous. Alex and I were just following a Lexus, and we were following a white Lexus, and I thought to myself, you know, this looks like almost any crossover on the road right now. Of course, the new design language dictates that you have to have this giant light across the back because it makes the car look wider. So that's kind of become almost a cliche, but all in all, it's a relatively handsome car. I think if you're looking for, you know, a mid-size crossover that's electric, this is certainly worth your consideration. So come on in with me, Alex, jump in and let's show them the inside. This is where there are big changes. So in this kind of first look video, I'm going to try not to let my prejudices show, but let me start this guy up. But as you can tell, Audi has kind of moved away from the screen that was once here. So if you remember the older Audis, we used to have the HVAC controls here. And then this, of course, was a smaller screen, and this was your main driver information screen. They've kind of taken this screen and put it over here. So now your passenger can see the navigation or see how fast you're driving or control the audio, which is kind of cool. Audi has done something that is rather unusual. They've given it a full-size glass roof. And unlike many, okay, let me start it up, come on. Unlike many, it actually opens up. And Audi says that their customers like giant panoramic roofs that open. And so this one actually opens up, which is very nice. Now you do have a round steering wheel, go figure. They haven't reinvented that. I think that's good. You also have traditional air vent controls, which is also nice. 2 cup holders they have. Remember, they used to have almost a powerboat-like gear selector. Now it's much more diminutive. And then you do have this B, which allows you to do maximum regen. So if you want to do one pedal driving, you push it down once for drive and twice for B. And you're in basic regen. You can also have 3 other levels of regen using the paddle shifters, very much like a Hyundai in that regard. And they have kept the traditional stocks. Unlike Tesla, they have done away with that. But there are some things that I'm not overly excited about, but this is me. I don't necessarily like the steering wheel controls. If you remember, the older Audis actually had real physical buttons here. Now we've gone to haptic controls for things like the heated steering wheel, you know, the volume, and of course the view that changes your forward-facing screen. You also have a massive heads-up display. I kind of can't show you that because we're going to the sun, but it's kind of like Mercedes, where the numbers now kind of float magically in front of the car. So if you're using navigation, it puts the arrows out in front of you to show you where you should be going, and it makes for an interesting heads-up display because, I mean, look at the size of this thing. I mean, it is truly magnificent. Now, Audi has put speakers in the headrest a la Infinity. That's very good for listening to music, or if you want to get navigation instructions, it's much easier to hear them right into your ears. You do have 4 traditional switches right here, but I'm going to borrow this, Alex, for a second. Thank you, sir. But you do have more haptic controls for things like your rearview mirrors and lockout of the child locks. And I remember when Cadillac built the Q system, and I was like, oh, don't like it. And now, of course, because I think of Tesla, we have screens everywhere and haptic buttons everywhere. I'm not sure this is a trend that's going to last, but I do appreciate the fact that they do have real vent controls. We also have different drive modes. We have individual, dynamic, comfort, efficiency, and off-road. And the off-road is actually really good because this vehicle does come standard with air suspension. Optional. Never mind. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Alex. Optional air suspension. So it allows you to raise the vehicle when you're off-roading, or lower it when you're on the highway and you need better fuel efficiency. You can also individualize a lot of factors, including, how heavy the steering is, the dampening of the ride. Alex and I had a long conversation about that. I kind of find it almost too many choices, but the Germans have decided that they like providing a lot of choices, so I can't fault them for that. And, choice is good. Now, in terms of feel, fit, and finish, everything in here, and I'll show you in the car next door to us, does feel premium. I mean, these cars are expensive. Like I said, this one all in, I think we got a Monroney actually right here, which is nice. Thank you, Audi. So all in on this car, we're looking at $240,000. And actually, this destination charge of $1,295 is very reasonable compared to what you get now. You've got different package options here, and this one does have the Glacier White, so you're paying almost $600 for that, and the Prestige package, which gives you things like the adaptive suspension, adaptive cruise assist, acoustic front glass, Bang & Olufsen stereo, dynamic interaction light, heated steering wheel, heads-up detection, heated rear seats, which is nice. We've also got ventilated front seats, and 7 additional, check this out, DRL signatures. So if you want to personalize the way that your car face looks, you can do that as well. It's got the warm weather package. I've heard of cold weather packages, but never a warm weather package. That gives you manual rear sliding window shades, and Bang & Olufsen front headrest speakers, and ventilated front seats, and stone gray birch linear wood inlays. So this is real wood, which is nice. And the one thing I'm not a big fan of, but Audi has gone this route, are run flat tires. So yeah, if you don't like run flat tires, you're going to have to live with them in this car, because unfortunately there is no space saver or real tire. Now, like I said, look at the size of the sunroof, and look at the amount of headroom I have, and I am sitting as I would drive this car. And so this is just a phenomenal amount of headroom. There's plenty of shoulder room, and it's a very comfortable car to be in. One of the things that electrification has promised is for designers to be able to utilize the interior space a little bit more. Like I said, this is a small to mid-size crossover, so, plenty of headroom. But, I don't know if I'm sitting behind myself. I think this seat is all the way back because when you start the car up, it actually does that convenience entry thing. So I think if I were actually sitting completely behind myself, I would have more room here. But it's not bad. I could actually go for a road trip in this, which is something I can't say about a lot of cars. And of course, Audi said they've done some customer research, and their customers do love these little shades, privacy shades. And so do I. I mean, it's a nice touch. And it feels like something that if I had kiddos back here and I wanted to keep the sun out of their eyes, I would really appreciate. Let's look in the back and see how much room there is back there. So pop this boy open. And it is a lot of room. Alex, do you know how much room? Have you done your research?
About 30 cubic feet.
Thank you, Alex. Alex is 30 cubic feet. And that's a lot, actually. And under here, where you normally have your spare tire, looks like you have a subwoofer. I think that's what that is. You think that's a subwoofer, Alex?
I think so.
I think that's a subwoofer, and of course you have your charger right there. So you're still getting a charger when you get your Audi. And in general, I don't know if these will fold because the seats are all the way back, but it's a 40, maybe 30-70 split back here. That's pretty good. I could see actually going to the hardware store and putting in a lot of stuff. And what do you think that does? Oh, I think that lowers and raises the car. So that's always a thoughtful feature. And I could have actually dropped him using this. So with the air suspension, if you have a dog and he's not or she's not like Blaze, in other words, a massive Bernese Mountain Dog, you can lower the car and let the dog jump in. So $77,000 sort of kind of competes with the Tesla Model Y in its competitor set. I would say that really depends. And once again, Alex and I were having this conversation, if you consider the Tesla to be a luxury vehicle or not. And that's really up to you. So let's jump in the SQ6. There is no RSQ6 as of yet. This is actually my first time inside of this car. So interesting leather in here, red leather. And basically you have the same battery, but you have an additional 50 horsepower in this car, which means it'll go from 0 to 60. And this is a general number. This one will do it in about 4 seconds. The Quattro will do it in about 5. And then if you get the rear wheel drive car, it'll do it in about 6. So basically you're trading horsepower for range, because like I said, this guy's in the 270 range. And then of course, in this car, you do get a squared off steering wheel on the top and on the bottom. So Audi has gone and reinvented the steering wheel again. You know, this is the sportier one of the bunch. Let's put some more light in here. I gotta say, I do like the fact that this is red on the interior. I'm a sucker for red cars. But otherwise, you know, it's identical to its Quattro brethren next door, with, once again, 1, 2, 3 screens and plenty of headroom and the usual things that you would expect from an Audi, which is good build quality. It's built, by the way, in Ingolstadt, Germany. So these guys are all built in Germany. You know, with the 800 volt architecture, it will be more or less future-proof. Let me see, I think these are, what are we looking at? These are 21s. So when you go to the bigger, more powerful battery usage, you get 21s, I believe. Here you do get, these are 20s, and I think in the cheaper of the cars, you're at a 19. And of course, that's probably another reason why you've got less range given the faster car. All right, so as always, guys, let me know, do you like the new e-tron? This will be basically the architecture that Audi will be using in the future. And another cool thing is, if you're actually kind of like a Hummer EV, you can actually split the battery. So if you're not using an Electrify America station, let's say you're using a Tesla station, which, by the way, it doesn't have next. Does it, Alex? This has CCS still, right? Let's look. Oh, look at that. Whoa, looky there. Is that next?
No.
No, what is that?
I think this is a pre-production.
I think
doesn't have DC fast charging.
Yeah. No, it's got to have DC fast charging, dude.
That's I mean, it's a pre-production car.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna guess maybe no.
Is that a European? I think that's European standard. Could that be European?
No, that's not the Menkes plug. That's a J1772.
Yeah.
Let's see what the other one has on.
Let's look. Now we've got a mystery on our hands. Oh, I do like the fact that it's electric.
Ooh.
Same thing. All right, I'm confused. Let me know in the comments below what's going on here. It's got to have fast charging, Alex.
Well, I mean, it will for the final one, but I think these cars,
The pre-production cars?
pre-production cars, they probably just didn't stick it on there somehow. Yeah, that's weird because there's no, it's not like a plug in there or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's no DC ports, right?
No DC pins.
There's no DC pins at all, yeah. So, I have a correction. Remember when I was saying I didn't know what this was for? Because it only had the AC charging ports? Well, that's my stupidity, because when you come over on the other side...
Oh, I can't open this one because that one's open.
When you come over on the other side, there is another charge port that does open. And of course, on the driver's side, you have the DC fast charging. So this has been an official TFL correction. Sorry guys, I screwed up, but now you know.
Weird. They just wanted to make sure that some YouTubers out there, you know who they are, don't try and DC fast charge test these at the launch event.
Yeah, there's some people from Colorado that actually on these drives see just how fast these things charge, which, you know, is actually pretty cool. But that's not going to work in this case.
I was going for the TFLs that do that.
Oh, you were doing, I was going for somebody else out of Colorado. Here, I'll close this guy as well.
We don't watch those other people from Colorado. We only watch you from Colorado.
And guys, if you want a much more thorough review, one with a lot more numbers and a lot more comparisons, where should they go, my man?
They can go to Auto Buyer's Guide.
Exactly. So thank you very much for watching. Alex, thank you very much for filming. And as always, guys, head on over to alltfl.com for more news, views, and real-world Audi e-tron reviews. And I have to say, my initial impression of the vehicle, at least standing here, is that Audi has gotten to the next level of electric vehicles in both charging and in battery range, sort of, kind of. Yeah, good for you, Audi. Let me know what you think in the comments. See you next time. Ciao.